Oh, that's it. Yes, yes, yes. We are live. Thank you all for being patient because internet and connections and it happens. And yeah, and we're here. This is Mickey Angeline, host for the Women's International Music Network for our podcast series live, front and center. And I'm so stoked because we've got Militia Vox here in studio, but she's really WIM family. You're women family, darling, because you've been at She-Rock's shows. You've been on panels with Laura Whitmore, the founder of the Women's International Music Network. And it's just long overdue to have you on the show. So welcome. Oh no, you froze. See, this is what I'm talking about. She froze already. I'm going to give her a second while she figures that out. So, this is the Women's International Music Network, and we do these live video podcasts. I try to do this weekly, at least bi-weekly, and it's always on our Facebook. It's always on our YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to the YouTube so you don't miss not just our podcast, but we also have been posting our content from our recent She-Rocks Awards. So we're doing little individual clips of interviews and performances. And we have our She-Rocks podcast. So just go to our website. I probably should show you the website. It's right there. WiMN.com. So I'm going to give her a couple of seconds. And anyone, if you're here watching, we have a chat room and you're more than welcome to post your comments, post any questions. I would say requests, but no one's performing today. This is just a podcast. Here we go. And also a shout out for me as Mickey Angeline to MXL Microphones because they endorse me and this is their VSP setup for visual podcasting bundle. It's amazing. Go to MXL Microphones or mxlmics.com to find that. I'm going to give it a couple of more minutes for her to come on back because she's on the East Coast. And that's part of what delayed the talk because Militia was trying to figure out her connection to do the show. So we're trying to, as we try to figure this out, we will share this out. If not, we'll try this on another day. I'll give it a couple of more minutes. If you are in the chat room and you had any feedback or any questions you might have for Militia Vox. Also, did you watch the She-Rocks Awards? This was our very first year doing it all online. For those of you who know our She-Rocks, we always host it every year in January during the NAMM convention down in Anaheim, California. And we host it at the House of Blues Anaheim. We have for 3 years now. Every Friday night, the Friday of. And this was the first year we did it. This was the first year that we did it all virtual online. And she's back.
And I'm back.
And she's back. Alrighty, cool. We're doing this. We're doing
Damn
this.
Technology.
It's all good. So let's jump right into it before the cutout. Okay. We're going to get all the meat and potatoes of you, singer, songwriter, multi-instrumentalist Militia Vox. You're on the East Coast. Why don't you give those watching a little background about who you are in music?
Oh, wow. That's a very deep and expansive chasm of things.
Because how long have you been doing music? How long have you been in the industry?
I've been doing music since I was 8. I started off as a competitive pianist. And let me tell you, there is a competitive pianist scene and it's rarely talked about or mentioned or anything, but that's how I started. With it, I would compete on piano against people in my age group. And I was like winning awards and like, you know, I was playing in malls and all this kind of stuff. So that's how I started. And then finally I like took a look around and I was like, man, I'm bored. I just kind of was just like, I felt like I had hit the ceiling, you know, I was winning awards and I was best in my state for my age group. And I realized I was just like, this is too rigid for me. You know, it's classical community. It's a classical scene. And
very constricted, right?
Very constricted. And they would be like, oh, we didn't like the way you were playing. Like, we didn't like that you were playing aggressively. or we didn't like that you were sitting inappropriately on the bench,
Stop
things like
it.
that. Yeah, it was things like that. And I was kind of like, yeah, I'm good with this rigid community. Keep doing your thing. I just don't want to be a part of it. So I
Sitting
ended up
inappropriately because you're female and you had to sit a certain way. Were you like in a skirt or?
sometimes, yeah. But
Mm,
if I did the side saddle thing, it was like scandalous.
interesting. Okay. Okay.
So there was that. And then so I got to music conservatory, and I tested out of piano. They were like, we have nothing left to teach you. And I was
Dang.
like, okay.
That was Boston, right? Boston?
Yeah, Boston
Okay.
Conservatory. And so I was going for musical theater because like they were the only program where I could do all the things at once at the time. Like I could do music, I could do theater, I could do, well, I was supposed to do piano. I was supposed to do all those things, but there were no programs where everything was integrated in that way. So it was really kind of, it was limiting in itself, but now so many schools, they have programs that are very, very rich and blended. Like Boston Conservatory now they have a history of drag course now. Like I would have
What?
killed for that when I was in school. Yes.
No
Because
way.
all the best drag queens went to my school, and like we all were like kings and queens of the nightlife in Boston.
That's so cool.
So that's where I got my first band, was in Boston. And I was considered like a heathen for doing a rock band outside of school.
What year was this? What time period was this?
Late 90s, early
Okay.
2000s.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was like it just wasn't accepted yet. So they looked down on rock and roll as it being, not proper singing technique, or not proper like use of your body, or you're in a stage space, that kind of thing. And it was the stupid thing. It was being in a band just like opened up such a great world for me, because it like established me on the Gothic industrial scene. It was my first time writing songs. I never even knew how songs were put together, or how you would create noises and different, we were sound designing, and it was like there weren't even great tools to do that with yet. So we had a brief stint on Cleopatra Records, and that's like the Gothic label, is Cleopatra Records. So we appear on like on a Dead Can Dance tribute album. The band was called Disciples of Astaroth. And then when I got kicked out of conservatory for insubordination, so that's a whole other thing. That would take a whole show episode. But suffices to say, and I hope you can hear me okay, because it does seem like it's breaking up again.
Yes, you're freezing again.
Shoot.
Oh no, wait.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Your face is frozen, but I can hear you. Oh. Oh goodness. Cut out again. Let's try this one more time. And if it does cut out, we'll reconvene and reschedule this. And I do appreciate those who are listening in, because we have some meat and potatoes that I wanted to go over with Militia, not just, how she has survived and thrived through the pandemic. She's got new music coming out. She's scoring for movies. She's got new music, but being that February is Black History Month, and she is pretty much over she calls it the lazy journalists who just reach out this one time a year to want to hear her music or put her on a list. And we're going to kind of go over that. And so let's cross fingers that she comes back. But as I was saying, I talked about the She Rocks Awards, right? And please go to our website. You can see at thewimn.com, and at the top of the website, you can click on the She Rocks Awards, and you can watch all the videos. We did a pre-show with Lindsay Parker had hosted it, and there were some performances, and then we had a red carpet with John Stapleton, the senior artist with MAC Cosmetics, one of wonderful sponsors and did some really great red carpet interviews with our honorees. And then we had the full show, and we brought back Lizzie Hale, who was she was a recipient of the award from 2020. And we asked her to host, and she did a fabulous job hosting. And it turned out so great. We were really, hats off again to Laura Whitmore, the founder, and Bonnie for putting together and just the most amazing online show I've seen in a while. It was great to be, I miss seeing everybody in person. We all do, but it was great to be able to throw it up on my TV and hear it with the speakers. So if you want to get a chance to catch the recap, you can go to thewimn.com, WIMN.com, the WiMN, and you can watch it there. So I'm going to give it another minute or so if she comes back. Hi, Nikki Stevens thank you for being here, by the way. She had clicked out Militia. She's having internet issues, so I'm giving it a second. Hopefully she can pop back in. We'll try it one more time, and if it cuts out, I'll go ahead and cut it short, and we'll try again on another time. I definitely would want her back. Like I said in the beginning of this, she's more like the WiMN family. She's been to several of our She Rocks awards. She's spoken on panels with Laura Whitmore at the NAMM convention, at the NAMM show, which of course this was the first year that it was online. And if any of you watching it, did you participate in the live, the online NAMM? I didn't get a chance to. I wanted to, but I was working so hard with the team on getting the She Rocks awards out to everybody. So I missed out because being that it was online, you could attend the workshops and the seminars and learn a great deal of information, just this plethora of priceless information, whether you're a musician, write music, if you're a business. And I don't know if any of you participated and you want to let us know how yes, I agree, Nikki. What's up, Joe? Oh, and Joey, by the way, while I'm waiting for her to come back, see this shirt. So my good friend and fashion consultant has a website. Let's pop that up there. And these shirts. So this is the Ally shirt, by the way, for Black Lives Matter. And it's the Black Lives Ally shirt. And they have a variety of shirts to pick from, like 3 or 4 different shirts. They've got masks, and a portion of the proceeds helps out LGBTQ youth and also trans community. There's a trans ally shirt as well. So I'm sporting it today. It says, "We see you, we support you, and we walk with you." Look who's back. Look who's back. Alrighty.
I decided
I told
to go
everybody
off of my phone.
Okay, there it is. You probably do better, because I said we're going to give it one more try. And if nothing happens, okay, so you don't have to be bummed. Nikki's like, bummer on tech. Joey right there. That's my good friend and fashion consultant. She designed this shirt that I'm wearing. It's the Black Lives Matter Ally shirt. So,
I love it.
I told her I finally, because I can fit it. I'm going to wear it on the next, women's podcast. And I did, because that's just how I roll. Alrighty. So we're back. You were talking about, you were told by your piano folks that they couldn't teach you anymore. You had said this, right? You had hit the ceiling of learning. This was at the conservatory, or?
Mm-hmm.
Is that where we were? Okay. So then you discovered
Gothic industrial.
Yeah.
Music. Yeah.
And for those who don't know what that genre is, give a little taste or a little explanation, a little description on what goth industrial music is, if you don't mind.
Goth industrial is basically like electronic based rock that sounds like or mimics or uses the actual sound samples that sound like machines, and uses them, and we use them percussively. So it's a very like hard edged kind of intense sound. So we kind of mixed that with like groove based music. It was like, so it wasn't so like thrashy or like jackhammery. It was actually very beautiful. The Gothic element adds like a romantic aspect to it. So some of the songs are very mournful.
And that's like a 180 though, from learning the classic competitive piano that you did from the time you were a child. What drew you to that genre and that style?
Well, yes and no, because I find that like my favorite eras of classical music are the Baroque era and the Romantic era.
Okay.
So they're actually very similar as far as the mood and the themes of the music. They're very parallel to each other. It's very what would you call it? Like it's romantic. It's sorrowful, and there's such a beauty to it, and it's heavy as well. And so they weren't like, it wasn't a huge leap.
Was like
So,
dark
like, the
music, I
band
think
was
is what you called it.
yeah, dark music. It's dark and heavy. But there's such a beauty to it. It's definitely got some of the most devoted followers of any genre. I would say like heavy metal and like goth industrial have like the most devoted followers to their genres. So doing those bands, like the band was basically a mix of like Typo Negative meets My Life with the Thrill Kill Cult. So like, I don't know, if you're not familiar with those bands, just think the Crow soundtrack.
Thank you. Thank you for going complete commercial and giving me an insight, because I love that movie. And what drew me to that movie was Brandon Lee, because I grew up in martial arts family and Bruce Lee was part of our family. Not like by relation,
cool.
but in the art. Yes. So what drew me to that movie, but I love the soundtrack. I do love, it's beautiful. It is dark and it's heavy, but it's amazing. Beautiful. So
that's gothic. That's
that helps.
Premier example of gothic and industrial music is the Crow soundtrack.
Nice.
For sure.
Nice.
So,
and for those of you that want to hear her music, by the way, I can't play it on here because then Facebook automatically mutes the video. I've discovered this the hard way. Please go to her website if you want to hear a little taste, because right when you pull up her website, a song plays, right?
Yep, that's right.
Yep. While she's talking, if you want to hear what she's doing, I would love to play it here, but Facebook, like once they hear music, if I don't have rights, they do.
Yeah.
F you, Facebook.
Even if I'm sitting right here and I said, yeah, you can play it, you still wouldn't be able to play it.
Still will not, because because they're like, well, who are you? Whatever. It plays fine on YouTube, but it bans it on Facebook.
Even if I wanted to play it on Facebook, I couldn't. It would cut me off.
No, you couldn't. It's ridiculous. And let's also, I'm going to go over this list, because this woman has played with and recorded with a variety of bands and people. Look at this list. I'm going to go down this list. Here we go. Twisted Sister, Living Colour, Cyndi Lauper, Nancy Sinatra, John okay, am I going to say this right? Petrucci.
From
I did it right the first time. Dream Theater. Members of Bad Wolves, Candlebox, L7. I love L7. Taylor Dane. I have sung her songs in karaoke. I'm like, Taylor Dane, Sandra Bernhard, Razorlight. You mentioned John Kelly, Danzig, Typo Negative, AC Slade. I mean, members of Vixen, members of Kitty. I love how diverse in not just genre, but generation of that you've played with. I mean, I'm sure each of them have your own little favorite moments with them, but what a blessed life. Good for you. And you're an award-winning artist as well. And now let's look at this. Your vocals, 4-octave range. When did you learn that you could sing like that? How old were you when a light bulb hit? You're like, I could really pursue something with this voice of mine.
I sang before I spoke, which is what my parents told me, which is like, seems appropriate when given the circumstances that occur in my life. But I didn't really, I knew I had it inside of me, but I didn't know how to communicate it for the longest time. So like I used to sing, I went to Catholic schools. So, there was always choir, concert choir is a big thing. And I used to do solos, and I would, play piano for the choir to sing along and all this kind of garbage. But it was like, it was based in Catholicism, which I'm not Catholic. I don't have anything negative to say about, Catholic schools, because it was definitely, there was a reason why I was there. I was there for the education. But, my schools they were great until I got to high school. And then all of these like sexual issues started coming up. With like teachers and things like that, but that's a whole other show.
And I already know where you're going with that one. So you're right. That's a whole, that'll be episode number 3 with Militia Vox. Oh, we lost her again. What is girl? She was on her phone. She will come back. I know it. We have to, because we have to touch on the fact that she's also a front woman. Look, so that was quick. You just like coming in and out. That's what you are. That's what you're doing.
That seems appropriate too.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, but I think the Archdiocese is listening. They're probably like, cut her off.
Yeah, so we're going to be done talking about the Catholic Church, because obviously she just got struck down. You're right.
Yeah,
and you know what? Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that, like, it wasn't until high school, really, where I was just like, okay, actually, no. It was like 8th grade when I was like, I need to just get out what I need to get out, like, from my insides. I need to, like, get out the performer that I know I am. And I'm just going to, like, throw it out there. It was like the last year of middle school. And I was just like, I'm just going to, like, be weird and sing and, like, do what I want to do. And, like, we had a talent show, and, like, I did this crazy performance to, you've seen Beaches, of course, right?
No.
You've never seen Beaches with Bette Midler?
There was no draw for me. I love Bette Midler, but I promise, there wasn't a draw. I also haven't seen Braveheart. I get smacked for certain movies that I've never seen.
Fuck
I
Braveheart,
know.
but Bette Midler, that's a draw. No,
I got shunned a lot in the 90s for not seeing that in the 80s. But no, Beaches, I get shunned for that too. Like, you haven't seen Beaches? No draw for me. The previews did nothing. But you bring up Beaches because...
But you see, you're not a Bette fan, because to a Bette fan, that's all you would need.
You're right.
Like,
I'm not a deep Bette fan, but for those watching and are most likely Bette fans, they're going to relate to this. So go on.
Okay. So there's a scene where Bette, because her whole story is that she was trying to be a singer and an entertainer and an actress and all these things. So it, like, shows her come up, that character's come up. And there was a scene where she did some experimental theater that was, like, very dark. And, like, the song was called Oh Industry. It was very industrial, actually, the song, and very creepy kind of work. And I was like, yeah, I was like, that's me. That's what I am. And so I sang and, like, made this, like, crazy performance. And I enlisted, like, 6 of my friends to, like, join me on this weird performance. And, like, it was just insane looking. And, like, I'm from Maryland. Like, people were like, wow, it's really great, but we have no idea what the fuck it is. Like, they were just kind of like, like, they're like, that's really interesting and engaging, but what is this? It was just like, it was beyond the realms of anything anyone was doing in my area whatsoever. So
from the get, you've always been a creative and always thought and worked outside the box, obviously.
Yeah. And so, like, that was such a freeing moment. Like, I found, like, the VHS tape of it recently at my parents' house. And I was like, oh, that was the first time I put up my pirate flag, where I was like, here, I'm a weirdo. Like, here's my pirate flag. Like, this is who I am. And they actually, like, embraced me for it in a very conservative community,
Wow.
So it was like, that was the first win for sure.
Good for you.
And then a teacher said to me, you could do this. You could do this. You could be all the things you want to be professionally. And I was like, and make money? Like, do it as a job?
Yeah. Sky's the limit, isn't it? I mean, not counting 2020, sky's the limit, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is that what got you into, because you're a front woman for an all girl, the Judas Priestesses, right? The tribute band.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Thanks.
Whoa. Lord, how long have you been doing that one?
Shit. We've been doing it way longer than we ever thought we would be doing it.
Wow.
It's been 10 years.
That is so incredible.
Yeah.
And again, go to her website. It's right there, militiavox.com, if you want to see some of her performances as Judas Priestess, all girl tribute band. That's so amazing. And also you're a multi-instrument. I'm trying to hit on all these before you, in case you go out again, but you're a multi-instrumentalist. So you play a lot of instruments. Yeah.
Yeah. So
besides piano.
Piano. And then, I started on bass when I first moved to New York, like in the early 2000s, and switched to guitar just for necessity as far as songwriting and things like that. But I prefer bass over guitar playing wise. And, I played, some percussion, like hand percussion stuff. I moonlighted as a drummer in high school, and I was like, yeah, that's definitely not for me. It's just like you're the first at the gig and the last to leave, and you have all these like pieces and parts and shit. I was like,
This is
fuck that.
true.
I was
Holy
like, I can't.
heck.
I was like, so I love drummers because you seriously have to be like deranged to want to be a drummer. There's already a chip in your head that says like something's wrong with me and I want to bash on things as loud as I can.
Yeah. Well, it's good for therapy, but definitely it's so many moving parts to it. You're right. As far as loading, unloading, you're almost never seen unless you're a crazy, awesome player, and getting endorsements is hard unless you're like, Alex Van Halen or something. It's crazy. You're right.
This is why I love drummers, because I just go, wow, you're a fucking maniac.
Yes.
To want to do this.
You obviously love this. That's the only reason you're still doing it. So let's jump ahead to this, because I really want to, I kept saying when you were cutting out that we were going to touch this. The reason I had called you in, and thank goodness you were able to do this kind of quasi last minute, was because you had posted something on your Instagram. You were angry at what you labeled as lazy journalist.
Yeah.
Because this is Black History Month.
Yeah.
And this is that time when people come out of the woodwork 1 month a year to PC jump on and now with Black Lives Matter movement being global and undeniable on a level we haven't seen since the Selma March and Martin Luther King, let's be honest, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So what happened? Go ahead and share the story.
So what had happened was is that every like December, January, I get a barrage of emails and I get messages from different media outlets or brands or, whatever companies that have decided to feature me at some point during the month of February. And that's all fine. But what about the other 11 months? Like, what is going on? Am I not interesting enough to highlight or showcase during the other months that exist? Like, and just being pigeonholed into this, we got to make this content in February about you, or it's not valid, or it's not important, or it's not even worth any kind of merit. It's just because I check boxes. And this year in particular, because of everything that's going on socially and politically and what have you, it just, they came out of the woodwork this year. It was overwhelming. Like, it was straight up overwhelming. And then I actually had a couple journalists that said to me, well, we got to do this because, we don't have that much time.
Ooh.
And I was like, who doesn't have that much time? Because I make music every day.
Mm-hmm.
So how much time are you talking about?
Yeah.
I'm talking about a lifetime. You're talking about February.
Yep. The shortest month of the year, by the way.
True that. And I was so floored. And I know I had a couple brands say things like, oh yeah, well, so happy to find you. And, my boss said, go out and find some people that check some boxes and you're perfect. And I'm just like, oh God, like, which is better, like masking the fact that they were told to do this or not? I don't even know. I don't know.
Wow. And as a journalist, there is a level of responsible journalism that goes such a long way. And I think not even going to excuse what happened to you at all, because you're right on that aspect, on every level of it. I think these companies who are really focused on clicks and shares and streams and revenue find themselves in this rock and hard place, because it's undeniable that it's coverage. So then if for any of them watching, which probably not, but if that's the level you have to do because you're the one working for the workhorse and that's your level, do them a solid, and I mean them as in whomever you're reaching out to because they fit your black box to check. Follow up and continue the support after February. It's the least you can do. Because we talked about this off camera, and I'll bring it up again. The only time I have felt that as a queer person when it came to Gay Pride Month, and the companies that want to be in the parade, and it's that 1 month a year that they want to say that they support the LGBTQ, but their ass and elbows is what I call it, right? Ass and elbows out of there the other 11 months. It's kind of the same concept. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't do that. You know, if they even took a second to even see what you did in research, it takes 30 seconds. Your website has it all. It's a beautiful website, by the way. Has it all. You want to see that she's been doing music since forever, and she's a multi-instrumentalist, and she is like the people she's worked with, that she's an award-winning artist. Come on, you like you said, don't be lazy about it.
Right. So like basically they were chalking it up to, oh, we're going to feature you because, you know, like it'd either be because I'm part of the heavy music community, or because you know, because I'm part of the Black community. So
and
they
that's
wanted
such
to,
a little, yeah.
But to me that's a crumb, and I'll tell you why. Because like, not for nothing, and not to like, not saying that I'm not Black identified. I absolutely am Black identified, but my father is white. So if you really wanted to showcase Black people, maybe I'm not your first pick. Just gonna throw that out there. You know, I just go like, what the fuck? Like, if you really want to do something for Black people,
but see, you check the boxes because Black, female, in a genre where it's such a niche of finding females, finding. I mean, I don't know the genre well enough, but is there a stereotype with with race when it comes to that? Is there? Okay.
Yeah, for sure. Like I'm aware that I'm a heavy metal unicorn. I'm aware.
Okay. Oh, I love that, a heavy metal unicorn.
That's what they call me.
Do you even have a costume like that, or do you do filters like that? Because that would be really fun.
I mean, I should.
I think you should.
I should.
And a total slam to like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's just funny. But like, you know, I don't want to diss anyone that's just doing their job. That's not it. I just want them to re-examine.
Yes. Take it further.
Effort. You know, I just want to like, it's like I said, I'm a lifer. Yeah. I'm not casual at this. I'm a lifer. So it's like, it's insulting to come up to a lifer and be like, hey, you know, we're doing this thing for February because, you know, my boss said it'd look good for our brand or some kind of shit. You know, so it's just like,
didn't even sugarcoat it. Said we're running out of time. Yeah. Oh no, you mean you're running out of time by whatever. Oh my gosh.
So like, I had like someone that's very known in the heavy metal community said those exact words to me, and he's a friend or someone I consider to be at least, you know, at least a casual friend, someone I've drank with, you know. So I was just like,
there it is.
I was like, oh, you're like under the gun because February is almost over? Well, then I'm pulling the plug.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was like, I don't have to do this with you.
That's so, and it's so, it falls under the umbrella of unconscious bias with a lot of people. It isn't intentional, but it doesn't excuse it. Like, can you check yourself? Did you miss that training, or did that training go completely over your head?
Right. And then like the other part of this too is that I had like some major companies / brands that were like, hey, so February's around the corner. And I was like, really? What, you're gonna do this to me too? Like major companies where I was like, oh, okay, like I wish so you're telling me that because I check boxes I'm good for right now. But I couldn't get this thing based off of my own merit.
Okay, twist on this, and then because I definitely want to make sure we touch on letting people know that you've got new stuff coming out and really awesome stuff. Is there a way for you to turn this around to work for you? And have you found ways to negotiate? Go, okay, but if I do this for you, you're going to XYZ this for me, and see the growth?
I have thought about that. However, that hasn't been the
Or is it just like a sour taste in your mouth that they even approached in that manner?
no, I get it, because that's just gonna happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm like, it's not gonna be the last time I get something like that. But I just am like, okay, the next time it happens, I'm just gonna say, what are you doing March 1st?
Hey, love that.
So
Love
just
that.
see how that goes. But I
Miss
just
me with
wanted-
that February talk.
Yeah, but I just I had actually had this conversation with my mother, and I was just like, man, like these people are gunning for me this year, and I feel weird about it.
Yeah.
Like I feel weird about it. And she was just like, well, best that they come to you instead of somebody else. Which I'm like, I'm not saying I'm not grateful for being recognized or being noticed in a way.
Yeah, but see, that seems
it seems
that's a manipulative though. I'm sorry. As a female, I think that's manipulative.
Yeah.
I'm doing this for you. You should be grateful. No, that's not how that works.
But that's typical, isn't it?
Because now you've just made it all about you and none about me. And wow.
Right.
Did you see the blood, guys? I feel like I just got raped. Like, do you see the what was that?
But that's typical, isn't it?
Yes.
For women.
It sure is 2021, and it still is typical, y'all. Not even joking. Okay, so we're gonna end this on a positive note. You have got new music out. You're even doing, you said, scores for movies. Yeah, let's talk about that.
Some of the scoring that I'm doing, I'm so excited about those. It's I'm finally going to fulfill my bucket list of doing scores for horror projects, and
yes,
and I'm not gonna like this new app Clubhouse has been like.
Are you on that?
Mm-hmm.
I want to, but apparently it's only for iPhone users right now.
Are you a Droid girl?
All the way, baby. And I'm okay with that, because I think if Clubhouse is what it is, it'll be there when it's ready for me, and all the bugs will get worked out, and I'm good. Like, I'm not in a hurry. We're still in pandemic. I'm good. I'm still working on my beach bod for 2022. So, we'll add in Clubhouse when I'm ready just to go, 90% show them the flesh. No, but so Clubhouse is good because what though?
Clubhouse is great because you get in rooms and you're able to have conversations with people that you may never get to like have an actual work conversation with.
Nice.
And like, it's great for networking.
It's however, like NAM on steroids.
But I will say that it's getting very popular. So it's getting crowded. So sometimes some of those intimate conversations that you were able to have with like a room of like, horror movie executives, where it's like maybe a room of like 10 of you, is now a room of like 50 or 80.
Ooh, then it becomes overwhelming. Yeah.
Right. So like before it's going to change as the app changes and things like that. But I was able to get in a couple of really great horror chats, and talk to people who are making horror movies and they need music.
Nice.
And it was literally they were just like, okay, so could you put together, some trailer music and some background music and some promo music and, this and that. And I'm just like, absolutely. Because like I had already started doing these kind of things. Like my own work has showed at horror film festivals, and I created an immersive exhibition of my visual album for the Fear NYC Film Festival, which was being looked at by Tribeca and like all these other film festivals. And
congratulations. That's
thank
incredible.
you. Yeah. It's also incredible because I've done this with no support, no financial support, just my own bank account and just like a fire in my belly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was just, I created this thing because I wanted people to listen to my album in a new and exciting way.
That's clever. That's ingenious.
Was the whole reason behind it. So I was just like.
And were you doing that during the pandemic last year, during 2020, or have you always been doing it?
I started doing it in 2018.
Okay.
And then the immersive happened in 2019. Nice. And I've just been like perfecting it, during this time. And it's been showing at a bunch of film festivals. Actually, the visual album itself just got a distribution deal for Flicks, and it's
Ooh, congrats again. I just feel
like
like all I'm saying to you is congratulations. It's awesome.
thanks. But so anyone that's watching this, that's an artist. Like, I feel like, you know, when you're young, it's just like that meme, right? That drawing that people think that their career is like this, but actually it's like this. It very much is a jumble of.
It's not an A to B.
Yeah, it's definitely not A to B. And like, I'm doing things that I never imagined that I would do just because I had the fucking nerve.
Good for you.
And I think that anyone that, you know, is serious about being a creative person, you'll find a way.
You do. I think when the fire's in you, you do. And you know, especially with COVID, I mean, you discovered that. But I think you've always been this way. I think COVID did nothing new for you. If anything, it just cleared out the noise and gave you more focus, because you sound like somebody, based on everything we've discussed, when you want something, you're like, they call it horse blinders, right?
Yeah. Oh, I call
it
the steamroller.
Okay.
I go into steamroller mode, and there's nothing that can stop me from going over what I want.
Definitely please reach out via email when these land, so we can hit like follow-up articles on your scoring for these horror films, because this is incredible.
Yeah, I'm so excited. It's horror film, it's multimedia and immersive spaces. Horror immersive spaces. So I'll be doing like creating the experience with, as well as writing the music for like awesome. Scary space, actually like enter and have like a full body experience.
Whoa. Okay. Now see, and horror freaks me out, but now I want to be involved in this. So please keep us posted so we can share with the world. And I want to know.
It'll be sexy, I promise.
Dang, it's awesome. So well, thank you so much. And for the patience, of course, everyone who's been watching with the in and out, because I knew we were going to get this going, because this was too important to talk today. You're good. You're good. It was so good to talk with you, girl.
Yeah, sorry about the technical issues. Thank you for hanging in there.
We worked through it, right? Militia Vox, please. There's her website.com. Follow her, stalk her. She's got the new music coming out. And I'm your host, of course, Mickey Angeline, the Women's International Music Network, with Live Front and Center. And until next time, have a good day.